Namaskar. Apologies for the slight delay. We had to bring in a lot of videos. We have a lot of guests also to join. And today we have some stunning developments. Even before Trump has taken office, comes news that there was an attempt or there was a plot to assassinate the president-elect Donald Trump. And guess who is involved? An Iranian. And looks like there is some nexus going back to the state. To know all about this and more, I'm going to have Priyanka Deo talk about it. We also have two guests joining us, Nikunj Trivedi and 𝗣𝗚𝘅 of Kona. And let's welcome all of them first, and then we will cut to Priyanka. Gentlemen, ladies, everybody, namaskar, and how are you?
Namaskar. Great to be back.
Namaste.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Priyanka, what is this news story? What is happening? Somebody, FBI has arrested an Iranian, and looks like he threw up his hand and said, they wanted me to do everything in 7 days. I just didn't have the time. I read the story. It looked very funny. Talk to us a little bit what happened.
It looked very funny, but this is another assassination attempt. In fact, the Justice Department announced federal charges in this Iranian plot to kill Donald Trump right before the presidential election. Now, according to court documents, Iranian officials asked 𝗤𝘅 𝗫𝘃𝘁, who's, I believe he's about 51 years old or 50 years old. I can't remember. I believe he's 51, to kind of focus on, I guess, surveilling and ultimately assassinating Trump. So he was given orders to just blow him out. He's still out at large in Iran, according to the Justice Department. And basically, the fact that the DOJ is saying this, it just marks another alleged attempt, I would say a real attempt, on Trump's life yet again by the Iranian regime. Now, I believe this man 𝗫𝘃𝘁, prosecutors allege that he participated in recorded conversations with law enforcement. And this was, by the way, originally tasked by Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps to carrying out other assassinations against US and Israeli citizens inside the US as well. But according to the IRGC, which is the Iran Revolutionary Guard Corps, these officials told 𝗫𝗫𝘃𝘁 on October 7th to solely focus on Trump, nobody else, according to court documents, and that he had exactly 7 days to formulate a plan and assassinate the president-elect. Now, I looked up a little bit about who this 𝗫𝗫𝘃𝘁 guy was, and on a preliminary search, he's basically an Afghan national residing in Tehran. And he told investigators that if he was unable to sort of come up with a plan in these 7 days, the IRGC would basically wait until after the presidential election to move forward, as they, had full belief that Trump would lose this election, which of course didn't happen. So it sounds funny, it is comical, but I mean, it is an assassination attempt on the president-elect who's going to be taking oath in January. So it is a serious attempt. DOJ is taking it seriously, I hope. That's sort of the developments that we know. But, upon reading it, I guess, Sree, I had the same reaction as you, that what am I reading here? What is happening? Because I think all of us, you're in California, I was in Chicago, we were following the election so closely until 3 a.m. in the morning that to read something like this, I had to take a second glance at it for sure.
Thank you so much, Priyanka. And Priyanka, stay on. We're going to come back to you on Trump's win, the main reasons why he won, the way forward, because a lot of announcements are coming through. In fact, I have done 3 or 4 programs already on some of the highlights of what he's mentioning. So we can go over that, but there is not more to cover. And I just want you to hang back, because I have to now, I'm going to bring now Nikunj Trivedi and 𝗫𝗫𝘅 and what is happening in Brampton, and more importantly around across Canada, about all these protests that are happening. Well, looks like at this point of time, the majority, once they started raising their voice, the government doesn't like it. And the way it has played out, when first day the Khalistanis were protesting in front of the temple, and consular services were provided to I think about 1,000 people or 2,000 people in order for them to give proof of life certificate. These are people who have worked in India in various government services, where in the month of November you are supposed to provide proof of life certificate. I'm just trying to establish the backdrop here, viewers. These camps were held in this particular mandir as well as in Lakshmi Narayan Temple in Surrey, British Columbia, in Vancouver area. So both these places, violence happened because looks like the chaos. Well, you can put any word after that. They didn't want this kind of stuff. They didn't want regular business to take place, so they tried to disrupt it. And I see no mention of that part yet. Now, what I would like to do is, Rishabh is from Kona, Canada, and Nikunj is from Kona, United States. Nikunj, why don't you set the stage first, and then we can cut to various videos that you have prepped for us. We are going to take a look at some videos. Viewers, this is going to shock you. This is perhaps some of the stuff is exclusive content. Many people took videos. We had to go through many of those videos to give you the gist of what is happening. Over to you, Rishabh.
Nikunji, you're starting first with the video? Yeah.
Rishabh, sorry, not Rishabh.
That's
sorry,
all right.
Nikunj first. Nikunj first. So sorry about that.
No,
Nikunj,
no worries at all. No, thank you, Sreeji. And this is indeed a part of an ongoing frustration amongst the Hindu Canadians, and we are seeing this pattern play out all across North America, right? So what happened this week was continuation of the incidents, but I call it a break point where now the Hindu community is very outraged because they're continuously seeing sort of violence against Hindus, this time Hindu devotees at mandirs, and enough is enough. So, we're going to go through the timeline that Rishabhji will share, but I want to say that this is becoming a breakpoint issue for the Hindu community in general. What we saw was a naked display of bigotry, of violence against us, and continuous provocation. No matter where we are, the moment we invite somebody from the Indian, consulate or anything like that, there's a wide strategy of protests, intimidation, sort of like fear, bigotry, etc., on display. And we have been seeing that across the board with many temples attacked, not just today, but over the past few years. So this has now become a boiling point for the community, and that's what we saw play out this week. The protest that we had, the peaceful protest, which, by the way, most people thought it was like for hours and hours, but it's only from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Officially, Kona protest, which was along with multiple organizations, only from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. onwards. And at 7 p.m., we called the protest as officially ended. Unfortunately, whatever continued was not in our control, and that has nothing to do with Kona, but the crowd continued. People were still angry and unhappy with what was going on. But this is where we stand. And some of the videos that we will show double standards in police sort of like coercion brutality. And what I would like to showcase as a George Floyd moment, a minor George Floyd moment. Thankfully, it did not result in the death of the teenage boy. But, if whoever knows about George Floyd incident that sparked a global Black Lives Matter movement, we were very close to that, unfortunately, in Surrey, where a teenage boy was thrust to the ground by multiple cops. He's unarmed and, is really scrawny teenage boy, just like a regular Indian kid, but he's being brutally held down and subdued by multiple police officers. So we'll see that too, as well as the violence that took place and the brandishing of open swords. You can see the brandishing of swords on streets in Brampton, and the police is right next to that, and nobody is taking any action, versus Hindu students and other people being arrested or being labeled as violent mobs and things like that. So all of these videos we'll see, but I'll turn it over to Rishabhji, who can talk about some of the incidents, particularly in Canada.
Thank you, Nikunji. Thank you, Sreeji. So I will just give a little bit of timeline on how things transpired on November 3rd first. As you know, at 12 p.m. it was the time when the consulate was about to start their regular business, 11 a.m. or sometimes like that. And some of the volunteers started to reach to the temple. And mind you, this is the time, Diwali weekend. So for a lot of, Gujarati community members, this is a New Year time. A lot of people, working class people who could not maybe had that kind of a spiritual, longing, they were visiting the temple. So that is the time. Now, the situation was that there were Khalistani protesters on the both side of the entrance of the temple at 12. And usually what happens is whenever the protesters are, and this is a regular scene in Canada now, it's like every weekly affair, but from the wherever the point of contention is, the police tries to keep them across the road on the pavements. But that kind of no precautions like that was taken. There were one police cruiser and two police constables there only. And protesters were on the both sides of the gate and on the front of the across the road. So when the cars are coming from the left side, somebody is entering, they are seeing the protesters there, so that protesters can see who is going to the temple. They can take their pictures, they can identify, they can intimidate them. And then if somebody is coming from the right side, they have people right on the road. And this has happened, mind you, at our own events as well. When we do some events, there are people with the loudspeakers. And a little caveat here, there are a lot of times there have been the loud so loud that even after shutting, this is Canada, where we have very soundproof buildings because the insulations is really good because of the climate we have. But there was still there was a difficulty. There has been difficulty in doing the regular business because of the sound. So all the city councils, bylaws and everything, nobody has to check on there. Police doesn't take those into the account. There are a lot of law enforcement things which are pointed out, which is regularly not taken as an account. So this is what's happening. The devotees were being intimidated, and then the volunteers who were trying to help there, they regularly, couple of times, went there trying to talk senses to those people that, please, if you want to do the protest, can you please go onto the other side of the road? And that started some the teasing and some profanities and all that. At one point, all the volunteers who were doing that work, they decided, okay, or 6, 7 or 8 of us, we will stand at the gate so that they don't intimidate much, and maybe we can also support the incoming traffic into the parking lot. So when they were standing there, gentlemen who were doing the protest started to come inside the temple to tell these devotees that you should leave this, you should go from here. And devotees were there that we are visitors in the temple and you are telling us to go away from here. So this is the scene. But after that, we saw in the video what happened. Some of the students went and the devotees went out and they started to talk to them. And that is when around 12:15, when this attack started to happen, that one gentleman who was in the protest came really close to one of our devotees, right to the nose, and he had to put his hand on his chest, and that was enough intimidation to start this, what we are seeing on the video. They came inside, started to beat people black and blue. Mind you, the lady who was filming this video, she had a stick on her back so bad that she almost fell off, and she was young, a lady in her 30s, and she is still suffering from that and from the mental trauma and all that. Now this happened, and after that police, of course, a lot of police came, and then those policemen started to barricade the devotees, Hindu devotees, inside the temple premises. They created the formation inside the temple premises to keep the volunteers and devotees who started protesting now in the line, while the Khalistani protesters outside were still enjoying the however I want to frame it, like police protection or whatever you want to call it. At this point, very interesting thing happened. Another police gentleman started to randomly punch down a devotee which was standing in the formation without any provocation, and that also is on video. And that again started another round of attack on the devotees with the police batons. And that's where a lot of devotees got again injured. Now this happened, and now again the Sree event was also about to happen at 12 p.m. Was supposed to happen at 12 p.m. But being the time difference, that is the time, they know what has happened in the Brampton. In the Surrey, the things were already charged. So what did police do? Instead of taking care of, the Khalistani protesters to control them, the devotees who were already agitated by what they saw happen in Brampton, they started to arrest these people. And this is the video you saw where they really roughly, arrested that kid. What happened in 4th November, I can tell more in detail. But before that, if you have any question related to this.
Let's play that
play
one.
the video.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nikunj. You can play it.
I don't think I can. Start letting me.
Oh, okay. All right. What is the number? Is it WhatsApp? There are two things with WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Let me try first.
Yep.
Let me try this one.
Yeah, that's the video.
No, but he's a king. He's a king. He's a king. No, he's a king. He's a king. No, please, no.
Yeah, stop right there. See, as you can see, this I want to draw attention to the people here. This boy is a teenage boy. You can see his figure is very frail, but you're seeing 3 cops overpowering him. And you look at the guy's arm. You look at the guy's arm, it's right on his neck. Okay. If this guy pressed harder, he would have broken the guy's neck. You can see that right there. You can see the guy right over there. You see that right there. There. You see that guy's arm right there?
His hand is like this on his neck.
His hand is right there. That is exactly what, instead of the knee bend that happened in the George Floyd case, this is a hand. Now, if that hand went even stronger, he could have broken the guy's neck. Okay, this is an example of police brutality. There is absolute disregard for the fact that this is a minor boy. That is, he's unarmed. He's a kid, as you can see. The guys are yelling there, but they have absolute disregard for this. Luckily, the guy did not get injured seriously. But this is exactly the double standard. There is no such arrest of any Khalistanis out there. 0 arrest of any Khalistanis. But this little boy has been brutally pinned down on the floor, arrested, and taken away like an animal. This is exactly what is going on with Hindus in Canada. The double standard of policing, the brutality that we're facing, and the Hindu-phobic bias that we are experiencing in Canada. Whether you call it Surrey, whether you call it Brampton, it doesn't matter. But this video is a great example. Now I want to show the next video, which is where the first video you saw of the devotees getting punched or hit with the flagpole. Now let's look at the next video, which is where this, that one. Now you can see right there, the cars are being stopped. They're intimidating the people who are going in. And they are not outside the temple. They are in the temple premises, in the parking lot, which is a legitimate private property. And this is considered a temple property, where they are intimidating devotees. They're brandishing their flagpoles, and they're inviting violence, basically. Okay. So most people think that, oh, this was just nothing. It was just a protest. It's not. You can see very clearly it's a angry Khalistani crowd. So when people say, oh, this is not, it wasn't an attack and things like that, no. The moment you enter a Hindu temple, the moment you enter any place, religious place of worship, whether you go inside the sanctum sanctorum or you're inside the parking lot, that is temple grounds. So once you enter with the intent of harming, the intent of raising your dandas and hitting Hindu devotees, you are attacking the temple. It's very plain and simple. And we can see that in the video, no matter how you slice it and dice it. Now, the final video, which I wanted to talk about, is again shows the double standard of the police. Now, this video, there has been a lot of social media chatter about the fact that, oh, Hindu mobs were going to attack they attacked the Gurudwara in Malton. Actually, that did not happen. Okay, that is completely false information. While mobs were walking towards that, all those things were going on. There were a lot of heat in the atmosphere. There was no. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to.
Yeah.
So this video you are about to show is after the events of November 4th.
Yes.
So
I'm going to come to that. Yeah. So the video that we're about to show is about the double standards of the police. Why is that important? Because what ends up happening is that you have people who are openly brandishing swords in this particular video. They have not been arrested. And what you have seen is on the other side, Hindus got arrested for, essentially doing something similar or even nothing like that. Okay. But in this video, you'll see actual police officers literally standing next to people who actually are holding swords. But nothing is being done. They're just being told to go away from here. So please play that next video.
Viewers, please observe closely. You may want to pause it if you want to get a clearer picture.
Yeah. So as you can see here, here's a guy right there. He's got a sword in his hand. You can see that right on the street, walking. And this is a parking lot, by the way, and it's a strip mall. There's another guy with the sword. You can see that right there. So multiple people with swords in their hands. And now they're running towards someone or something, as you can see. And now you're seeing the police going and telling them to go back. You can see right there. You see the cops right next to people with swords. Nothing. They're not doing anything there.
Well, excuse us for the profanity that was displayed, viewers. This is what it is. It is the raw truth that you are seeing here. And Nikunj, it seems to me that there are two sets of laws, one for one segment of the society in Canada and one for the Hindus. And, it's bad enough that Hindus think they are being treated as 8th class citizens in India. Looks like this sort of permeated down to Canada also. I mean, what I'm seeing is beyond description. And viewers, you should be aghast. You should be shocked, because wherever you are living, this could happen to you. I mean, the police seems to be acting upon orders from above, but isn't police supposed to serve and protect? Nikunj, I'm just asking a very philosophical question. You see in many of these cars, to serve and protect. Which part of this are they not understanding? I'm Rishabhji, you can tell me, you are a Canadian citizen. In US, I can probably ask these officers a little bit questions straight up and ask them, look, you have to do your job too. I don't know how it is in Canada. Please enlighten us a little bit.
So Sree, this is so very common. What we see in the video, the intimidation, the brandishing of the swords in the Khalistani, referendums, the protests. Canadians get so used to it. It's every weekend in Toronto, there is one extremist group or the other doing some sort of protest and doing all these things, and I think this is the post national concept of Canada we live in, where rights in the name of the identity politics, this is where we have led to. So unfortunately, this is where we are. And I want to also tell you a little bit about what happened on the November 4th after we did our protest. A lot of misinformation and disinformation is out there that there might be some truth on it, and we ask for the fair inquiry and fair investigation of everything. Wherever in if somebody has taken the law in their hand, they should be taken to the justice, and justice should take their own course. But we see over and over, there is a two-tier policing, there is different sorts of laws, and there are different sorts of rules for the advocacy also. There are advocacy organizations who do the consulting with the police chiefs and police offices, but that is the privilege not given to the Hindu advocacy organizations, and that's the unfortunate part. So after our protest ended at 7 p.m., there was because there were 6,000 people started to disperse, and some, of course, stayed in the temple and premises. Some, when they are going out, it looks like a march, or if the media has decided to call it a march, I don't know if any leader said that we are going to do a solidarity march or anything. I'm not aware of that. But it was just the people going away. And of course, there were volunteers who went out to help with the ongoing traffic, because this is right after the very busy road. And one of the volunteer, when they went out, they started to help the cars to go through. There one car came, a white car. The police might have the numbers. I don't know if they have been as proactive in catching the culprit as they have been to catch the lot of Hindu devotees. There was a pepper spray put on. I don't know if it was a bear spray or a more obnoxious or what, but there was a really harmful spray which was sprayed on 4-5 people. One of them was a senior citizen who the videos are out on the Twitter and everywhere. He just had to lie down and stay there, and the ambulance had to come to catch him up. And the other kids went out inside and tried to wash their face with the milk and everything. But when that incident happened, that car, after doing that, fastly tried to, I don't know if the intention was to run over the devotees or what, but that's what it appeared to a lot of people. In fact, one of the volunteer, his right foot was the car went above his right foot. Fortunately, he was coming from a work, and he's a worker in a service industry. So he was wearing those stilettos protection shoes. So, but still, today he got his X-ray done and went to the doctor and everything. His wife, who went out and shouted that, and after that, the people who were going out started to stop the cars, and cars did not stop. And that's when those people started to thump on the cars and everything. And that's the video we saw everywhere, that the Hindu devotees are trying to create a ruckus and everything. It is wrong to stop the traffic. It's unlawful. But is there a context of a person getting injured? Is there a police management here where 6,000 people coming on? Weren't they be doing this part where they would be helping the traffic? But they were busy. The other, as you just saw the video of the sword, wielding people, there were even on the 4th of November, the same group of people, 12 people with the swords and all kinds of weapons, were standing right in front of the temple and teasing the devotees who were coming out after the protest. So this is the kind of situation we live in, unfortunately, Sree. This is today's Canada we live in.
It's not enough that all this happened. There was further stuff. Rishabhji, I want you to explain this one picture that I'm going to show on the screen. Please go ahead. What happened here?
So after, there was a video where which went viral on the social media, where Panditji was giving this speech, that we are very kind and considerate community, But when somebody attacks you, and after that, the crowd started to say the random things. The management decided to suspend the priest. Mind you, these Panditji, I have met the Panditji, and he's a very, very joyful person. He's one of the priests who does the job of talking to the Canada is country with a lot of newcomers. He makes sure he talks to all the people who are coming. How are you feeling today? This is kind of a community reputation. He has very sweet person, and he was doing this sweet, but management decided to suspend him. Of course, after that, lot of community pressure went on the temple. A lot of community leaders reached out. Hindu Federation and one other new council coming up notoriously did a lot of advocacy in reaching them out. But all we see is the political pressure reaching out to all the levels of the lives of Hindus to do some acts. And you saw after that, Patrick Brown, the famed honorable mayor of Brampton, tried to do white savior act of, okay, these are the good boys who did this good thing, rewarding. And these are another Gurudwara who did another letter where they condemned the violence. So he's tried to play that, but we have seen for so long, we have been asking, this is not the first time a Hindu temple has been attacked. There has been more than 24 incidences in last 2 or 3 years alone. And this is what we are talking about, only the ones which have been reported. And this is a community I'm talking about which self-censors itself. It tries to stop spreading anything negative which is happening with him. Because I'm telling this because we have conversations with the temples where they say that we are not going out with this information, but there was another attack on us. There was another break-in happened. If we start counting on the break-ins and the robberies inside the temples, Shriji, on our estimate, and I want you to do any agency to do a fair inquiry, our estimate says more than 100 attacks have happened in the Hindu temples in Canada in last 3 years. And I know the number sounds like it's a Bangladesh or Pakistan, but this is the reality of Canada. Now, in the nature, of course, the nature of these attacks is not as severe as we see in some of the other countries, but it's still an attack is an attack, and an attack on a sacred site, and it is hurtful. So the community started to do the pressure, and but still there are a lot of political pressure among the Hindu community right now. You would not believe the number of calls I got on the day we were going to protest. My phone did not stop ringing from all parts of the community members, from the leaders, from everybody wanted to stop this protest, including the Hindu Sabha temple had to do Facebook post, WhatsApp messages, Twitter, every medium that this protest is cancelled. But even after all these trying to doxing and misinformation, everything, still 6,000 people were there on the ground to protest. And fortunately, after what they did, there are a lot of community backlash on their social media, that there was a significant drop in last 3 days in this temple after this act of sacking or suspending the priest. Some reports tell that there are only in last 3 days there is less than $10 of the donation per day is the figure that is happening, and almost nobody is visiting the temple. So maybe they smelled the coffee and they tried to do the right thing, but I wish the wording of the letter could have been better.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rishabh ji. Priyanka, before I cut to Nikunj, do you have any questions of Rishabh or Nikunj?
No, I just have a comment, which I liked something that Rishabh ji said. Now, we know that this Khalistani movement has deep roots. In fact, I think, Sree, the last time that we spoke, I mentioned on your show that I was talking to my dad about Khalistani movement, and he mentioned that Khalistani movement has been there since I was in college. So now, if you think about it, 1980s, it's been decades, right, of the
20 years.
Khalistani movement. But now they have the power of, as 𝗤𝙗𝙗 mentioned, they have the power of misinformation and disinformation. And why do I say the power of misinformation or disinformation, right? Because now they have social media. It's quite clear that this movement is still alive because it is a nexus. They have organized it. This is, I moved back to the US in 2023. And this is not the first temple that I am seeing being destroyed or attacked by Khalistanis. It's so sad. But with that being said, we also have to think of why. When we speak about misinformation, right? Misinformation is basically misleading information. But it's when you see the plethora of it on social media, because that's the first thing that I do. 𝗤𝙗𝙗 probably talks to all of the people and he's on ground, which is very, very important. But the first thing as a digital journalist that I do is I see what's online. There is a ton of exaggerated, incorrect narratives about what happened. It's all about human rights abuses at that point in time, and not towards the Hindus. It's all about, this is a non-political event. And on top of that, you have a prime minister who turns a blind eye to it, or who just doesn't say anything. In fact, I'm surprised he said that this is unacceptable. He's made a remark for this one, but what about all of the others? Disinformation is also very dangerous because it's deliberately false information put out there. And Khalistani movement is known for this. They are known to manipulate opinions on social media. They are known to agenda set on social media. Online, I've seen them, even during Delhi riots, I've seen them use the same disinformation tactics about, at that point in time, because it's Delhi riot, India's treatment of Sikhs, to ignite anger, rally support, and all of this, everyone just turns a blind eye to it. Everyone. I see some comments. I think Nisha made a very good comment of what first came to my mind as 𝗤𝙗𝙗 was talking and Nikunj was talking. She said that it's an eye-opener to, parents who want to send their kids to Canada. And as a professor, I would say that was the first thing that came to my mind. I would not want to send my daughter to Canada looking at all of this. What am I supposed to do? If she goes to a temple on Friday, is she going to get attacked? Is she going to get, slashed by a sword because police are just turning a blind eye? Is she going to be in the place of that kid that we saw? It really angers you. And, I guess that's not a question, Sree, but, just hearing about it as, just as an individual, as a journalist, as a Hindu, it's against our dharma to kind of stoop as low as they do. But at the same time, I see a lot of comments saying that we need to have a voice. We need to fight back. I try to do that through my videos. I know Nikunj tries to do a lot of that. 𝗤𝙗𝙗 tries to do a lot of that. Sree, you try to do a lot of that. But there are 4 of us here. It just makes me really angry.
Yeah.
Also, thank you, Priyanka. Also, a lot of stuff saying that, you're taking pot shots at Sikhs. Nobody's taking pot shots at Sikhs. This is a set of 2-bit thugs. 2-bit thugs. That's all it is. It's got nothing to do with the religion. Sikhs are as much Hindus as we are. So
It's got to do with the radical nutcases that we see outside this temple.
Yeah.
On that point, I want to say.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Nikunj, you go ahead first.
No. Please go ahead. It's fine.
So on that point, I want to say, Sree, that the temple where this event was happening, the consulate did, the 80% population who was benefiting from that were Sikhs. If you have been to this temple, every Dussehra festival, this temple does one of the biggest Dussehra in Canada. This time, there were close to 40,000 people at one place attended Dussehra. Whole area was jammed. And more than 50% crowd were Sikhs. So and whenever you go to this temple, all you see are Sikhs and Hindus together. So this is a temple, and we hear from so many Sikh community members who come to us, and they are more scared than Hindu Canadians are, because they live in the close community. They cannot speak up, and because if anybody speaks up against them, the targeting there is even more vehemently obnoxious, and I don't even want to go into detail how bad it goes there, but they are even more scared with this. Another point I want to say, because we are talking about this issue, that Pannoon, of course, put the target on my back, and he said, I tried to incite people and everything, but everything I said and we did is in front of cameras, and whatever I said is there. We never platformed anybody who had any hateful messaging, as the video has been seen. The very fact that Ron Banerjee was saying what he was saying on his megaphone in the crowd, where nobody, if you see at the video, nobody was listening to him, everybody was passing by, was because he was not given platform. And believe you me, there was pressure on us on getting so many people to allow them to speak. But we did not, because we are considerate about, and we are careful. We care for the community. We care for all of them. When we are speaking up about Khalistani violence, we are fighting for Hindus and Sikh Canadians who are at the brunt of this, targeted attacks. But on the social media and the misinformation and everywhere, they are putting my pictures and all kind of things they are doing. So, but that's the kind of intimidation tactics they have been doing. There is a laundry list of journalists who have been attacked, and we have talked about that. There is a list of politicians, including the premier, including the sitting, and in India, like chief minister, prime minister, to the radio, Air India chief, and everything. Which person of the power this community, extremist community has not attacked?
Yeah, no, it's actually the point is, we have made very careful not to platform anyone who has blind hatred for everybody. Okay, so the gentleman Ron Banerjee, who was arrested by, he has nothing to do with Kona. He has nothing to do with any Hindu organization. Okay, he is he has acting in his own capacity, and as Rishabhji said, that we did not allow him the microphone on stage because of those reasons, because of what we know about him. So whatever he said has nothing to do with any organization who was at that peaceful march, which, by the way, was from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., as I mentioned earlier. So that's really important. The second point is, as a Hindu organization, we have been extremely careful not to call all Sikhs as Khalistanis or all Khalistanis as Sikhs. Those two words don't go together. Okay, even the Sikh community within that, they have mentioned it very clearly that they don't condone this, but they are very scared, just like many Hindus are. So we very carefully not use the word Sikh very, very carefully, because we don't want to show that Sikhs are like this. No, these are Khalistanis. They're extremists. Their behavior is completely unacceptable. And also, one more thing, the idea that this was a pro-India protest, again, they're trying to spin this as a pro-India protest, where there was no discussion about India. It was all about the violence that was against Hindus. But they're trying to spin this that Kona and others are pro-India organizations. We are a pro-Hindu organization, whether it's Indian Hindus, Bangladeshi Hindus, Nepali Hindus, Guyanese Hindus, white Hindus, black Hindus, it doesn't matter. So we want to be categorically clear that this was not a pro-India protest. We cannot control people for bringing Indian flags. Much like the funny part, if you watch some of these Khalistani videos, in Canada, they have American flags. They're carrying American flags to a Canadian protest in front of a Brampton Hindu temple, which is hilarious, according to me. So this is the type of stuff that goes on, and that is missed in these false narratives, the misinformation and disinformation that is out there very prevalently. So I just wanted to state that for the record, that this was not a pro-India protest. It was a pro-Hindu peaceful march and a demonstration in the mandir itself.
Thank you so much, Nikunj. Thank you so much, Rishabhji. And we'll come back to our original topic on Trump's win. Priyanka, I just wanted to ask you one question. See, in the last 48 hours, Trump has been blazing away. He has made a lot of position points. He has been doing press conferences. He's been saying that my administration will do X, Y, Z, and so on and so forth. What struck you as the main reason for this victory? Because I have been very, very careful. I have been saying again and again for the past 4 weeks, Trump should win, but I always had this but hanging, B-U-T, not two T's, hanging, because I was never sure whether the Republican voter will turn up. And it was not just the Republican voter. Many others also had to vote Republican. What was your perception about this whole election?
Well, my first perception was, look, people needed to see change. People are sick of paying $400 for groceries that should cost $99. People are sick of paying $50 and $60 and $70 for gas when they only had to pay $20 and $25 before. It's hit the common man. It's hit the common woman. It's hit everyday life of many, many citizens. The illegal immigration people are seeing in cities. This is a topic that is discussed in my classroom as well, that people from Chicago who are taking my classes online, people from different cities who are taking my classes online, they're seeing illegal immigration, how it's impacting everyday citizens, how they are sleeping in schools so that taxpayers' children cannot go to those schools at all. I think that, the numbers were, a lot of articles online, which I find a bit comical, right? The vote count for Harris, as of, I believe it was Thursday evening, it was 68 million compared to Biden's 81 million back in 2020. Trump had about 72 million votes, Sree, as you were saying about Republican voters coming up and voting. But Trump had about 72 million votes, which is close to the 74 million votes that he received 4 years ago. People are speculating that where did those extra 15 million votes for Biden come from? That's the first thing. The second thing that I think was, I think a lot of Democrats, to be honest, are upset.
I think you meant Biden. Where did the extra votes for Biden come from? Not Trump.
Where did the extra votes for Biden come from? Exactly.
Yeah,
what did I say? Sorry. That's what I meant.
Trump is like, I lost 2020.
My bad. It's 11:20 at night. Forgive me. But where did the extra votes for Biden come from back in 2020, right? The other thing that I think is that Democrats lost, if you notice, and I was awake until 3 o'clock in the morning watching, but all the swing states went to Trump. All the key battleground states went to Trump, right? Democrats, I feel, lost swing states and they lost voters of color, which really hurt them. And I think the reason why is that a lot of Democrats are actually upset with the Democratic Party. There was one comment that was made, I can't remember whether a reporter said it or not because it was just that late at night, but I agreed with it. He or she said on the television that, you know what, hopefully this loss for the Democrats, you always have to look at the silver lining. They look deflated. I mean, it's disappointing, of course, when you lose. And I'm not siding with one party or the other, because what Democrats felt this year, that's what Republicans, I feel, felt back in 2020. But one thing that this person said on television is that basically, you know what, it is that you cannot take this loss away from him. Half the country, more than half the country has spoken. The way that he has campaigned was a lot smarter than what he did the last time around. I mean, winning all the battleground states, winning all the swing states, that is quite impressive. That means you're doing something right in your campaigning strategy. That means you are convincing people. And this person said that hopefully now the Democratic Party will come back more to the center. And I hope that with Trump's win, with that being said, the Republican Party also comes back more into the center. As I've been advocating, I advocate this in my classrooms as well. We have lost the art of talking to each other. A Democrat and a Republican cannot sit together and have a cup of coffee and have a good debate with each other and agree to disagree and part ways as friends. It just doesn't happen anymore. It used to happen in my lifetime, and I'm not that old. I'm old, but I'm not that old. It used to happen, and it just doesn't anymore because everything has gone so extreme right or so extreme left. Radicalism is not good. And I feel that, you know, hopefully this loss kind of brings the Democratic Party back to the center, away from woke. That's something that really caught my attention during the election. I said, yeah, that's right. Because if you go too radical, you're not going to win elections. A lot of people are not going to buy that, and they're going to see through it. And that's exactly what happened, despite mainstream media bashing Trump along the way. I saw an overwhelming amount of articles against Trump. I did not see the same. If you're going to do it for one candidate, do it for all, right? Do it for everyone that's running. I did not see that much, unsurprisingly, for Harris.
Thank you so much, Priyanka. And Nikunj, Rishabh, any questions for Priyanka?
No, I mean, she laid it out well as a professor and practitioner and a journalist, right? So nothing more to add there.
We have a few questions. Let's go through one by one, and I'll try to see who I should direct the questions to. Can we start the questions, please? Naresh wants to know, Namaskarams, disgusting to see humanity gone to dogs, let alone Hindus. Your view, sir. I'll start with Rishabh and then Nikunj and then Priyanka. Rishabh.
Humanity is still there, in my belief. There are good people all around, and of course, in fact, the good and bad has always been there in the world, and that's how world is about. And we try to speak for the truth and try to find Paramatman inside us, and also keep doing our dharma. So there is light. Of course, there is a lot of darkness. And I see that, that Hubble telescope says that 98% of the universe is dark matter. So, but there is light is so overpowering, that life reverberating is so overpowering. It brings joy to the world. So there is hope in the world.
Nikunj, if you want to add to that.
No, exactly. I mean, look, there's a battle of dharma and adharma that has been going on for eternity, right? So we are just people who are in at this time of life, but there is definitely positivity. Communities are coming together, right? There is healing that goes on, whether it's between the Hindu and Sikh communities in Canada or the US. It's a minority because people are scared, but there are people who do celebrate that, who want to show that there's good in everybody, in a sense of like the actual teachings of the gurus and the teachings of our 𝗣𝗽𝗍𝗍𝗍, as well as our gurus as well. So that is what the message should be. November is Hindu Heritage Month in Canada. In the US, we celebrated it in October. Let's not let this type of nonsense take away from our celebrations. Let's go and celebrate our heritage, because our heritage has a lot to give. It can enrich the fabric of Canada, enrich the fabric of the US, enrich the entire world. Krinavantam Vishwamaryam, as we say, right? Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. We want everybody, even including our enemies, to be happy, because if they get rid of their hatred and ignorance, they can be happy themselves. Because I can see these people are so bitter in life. They're fighting for causes that are never going to be coming to fruition. So, but being so bitter in life, you're just going to hate everyone and everything around you. You need to put that light inside of you and remove some of that darkness. So there is hope, no doubt about it, and we will continue to fight for that hope.
And this question is for you, Rishabh, because it is specifically on Canada. What kind of democracy Canada is? This is worse than a sub-Saharan country of Africa. Shame on Canadian government. Government of India should raise this matter across the globe as well as United Nations.
See, the Canada is a beautiful country, and I love Canada. The Canadian people are extraordinarily resilient. They are beautiful human beings. Wherever I have been in my workplace and in my regular interaction, I have met only one of the best people I have met in Canada, to be honest. But also there are one of the worst characters also are in Canada. So the hope is not lost. Democracy still is there, but there are a lot of hypocrisy. I know. This talk about being forefront of the freedom of speech. That's not true. There is a freedom to give the speech to some people and gag some voices. That's what it is. And unfortunately that is playing out, and hopefully I'm still hopeful that things will end. And that's why we do what we do. We want to change the narrative and change the things. But there is Canada is still a democracy. There are very many things. In many democracy, there are problems. Canada has its distinct problems. And I see that, Sanatan Dharma, why we fight for Sanatan Dharma is because this is a force for good. This is a philosophy which gives, which has promising future, which gives the future. This has a promising thing to us, that we are the force of the nature which we want to bring the goodness in the life and in Canada. That's why, and we will bring Canada also to the golden future if we put our heart and soul and mind to it.
Thank you so much, Rishabh ji. Next question, please. Thank you, MBK. King Charles, his silence is stunning. This is for Rishabh, because he is the Governor General, right? Or the Commonwealth. Canada is part of Commonwealth.
Yeah. Now he is on our currency as well, earlier from Queen to but yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I would like Canada to become a republic one day, and not to have the currency with these royalties to be on there. But yeah, his silence is stunning, and the silence of the Pope is also stunning. These are Christo-colonial establishments, and that's how they run, and that's how they continue to run, unfortunately. And their imperialist motives are there for everybody to see, and we should call that out.
The next one also is to you, Rishabh ji. Shyam Tarun wants to know, this begs the question, is Canada safe for Hindus?
Canada is a little unsafe if you are vocal and resilient Hindu. You can see that through the things. But I would again say that not... one thing I want to highlight, lot of these ridings people talk about that these are Khalistani bastions. Look at their populations there. These are the communities where Hindus and Sikhs are living together with each other. And there is a lot of hope. If you go to Brampton, you go to any restaurant, you will see a lot of, good things out there. You will see a lot of restaurants. I don't speak for them, but there are a lot of Indian flags out there. There are more Indian flags than you will see the Khalistani flags anywhere. But in the protest and, all the, wherever they want to make this peace, they want to do it. So Canada is becoming less safe for everybody than how it used to be 10 years back. There is a truth to that.
Next question, please. Magnet Ranga, again, this question is for you, Rishabh. Rishabh, clearly things are really hot in Canada. Everybody is concerned there. He wants to know, the officer in US involved with manhandling the African was arrested. That is true. George Floyd case. Is such an arrest possible in the incident you showed in the Hangout? Is the aim of SFJ to target funds of the temple?
That might be true, and I will go on to say that there might be the case, and there are some of the cases where Khalistanis are actually inside the temple administrations itself. So if they are into the Conservative Party, if they are in Liberal Party, if they are in NDP, so why would you believe they are not inside the temples? And believe these are what we have seen is that they run very well-oiled and very powerful criminal networks. So wherever the money is, they would like to be there. So there is a possibility of a lot of Khalistanis being into the temples, and if not there directly, they being intimidating the temple administrations.
Next question, please. Srikant Iyer wants to know, does the president-elect get additional security right away or only after assuming office? This is for you, Priyanka.
I believe the president-elect of the United States of America begins receiving Secret Service protection immediately after winning the election. I know that the protection continues, obviously, through the transition period that Trump will undergo right now until they are sworn in as president on January 6th. I think it's just a matter of, as Inauguration Day approaches, Secret Service probably, and it makes sense for all candidates, not just Trump, but they intensify their measures at the swearing ceremony and then beyond. And I do believe that as a former president, he gets Secret Service protection for life.
Thank you so much, Priyanka. Next question, please. Girish Joyce wants to know, if American policy keeps swinging wildly with each presidential election, the rest of the world would consider the worst case. Your opinion. Nikunj, you want to take a shot at this one?
Sure. I mean, look, that's exactly what's happening. I mean, if you look at the calculation by China or other, important global players, they start to read the tea leaves, right? Who's coming? If it's the Republicans coming, if it's like Trump coming, or if it's like the Democrats coming, they've already started to do their calculations when it comes to global trade policy, global geopolitics, etc. And look, the U.S. has become much more polarized and divided. You can see for the last so many different elections, the margin is so thin, right? This time it's been a little bit more different but if you look at the previous ones, you start to see the margin being very, very thin. So that is going to continue. And there's, as Priyanka mentioned earlier, people are not talking to each other. So outside players are taking advantage of that, but also calculating, saying, okay, we need to come and make our worst case scenario or best case scenario, depending on how you look at it, right? They're looking at it and saying, okay, what calculations do we put in? How do we pay politicians? How do we pay them off? How do we influence through lobbying and think tanks? All these calculations start to happen ahead of time, right? So now that Trump is in power, for example, and the Republicans have a greater control of the Senate and the sort of narrower control in the House, some of these policies are going to be fast tracked. That's just the way the nature of the game is itself. So what's going to happen is the rest of the world, whether it's trade tariffs, like I said, general economic policies, geopolitics, they're starting to calculate that. And they will say, okay, for example, what's going to happen with tariffs with China, India, different places when it comes to the US, right? Because Trump has been decidedly strong on tariffs, for example. So those countries are now starting to calculate the worst case scenario. Europe is going to look at this aid to Ukraine and aid to, all this, the subsidies to some of these migrants, so many different things that are going to be reevaluated. So that's what's going to happen. It's going to keep swinging. And if 4 years later, if the Democrats come, they're going to come swinging again. So people will start to see that pendulum swing. And I think what needs to happen is to stop that and somehow create a dialogue atmosphere so that we stay in the center more than going wildly left or wildly right.
Thank you, Nikunj. Next question, please. Dan 𝗼𝗍, thank you so much. Hindus must create a space in Conservative Party of Canada. Khalistanis are not that influential in that party. That's the only way forward to tackle Khalistanis. And Canada is hypocritical on freedom of speech. If neo-Nazis were doing referendums for a white ethno-state and openly celebrating Hitler's birthday, they won't allow. They only allow this for Khalistanis. Your thoughts, Rishabh?
I mean, our parliament has basically given a Nazi soldier standing ovation.
Right.
And our parliament in the same day, I thought that was the golden moment for our parliament. Lo and behold, we had silence for the Shaheed Nijjar. And that is hurtful as a Canadian, because that is an honor which is given for very extraordinary achievers in Canada.
Deserving person, yeah.
Deserving person. And there is no explanation for that shameful act. That is one of the darkest hour, the darkest 1 minute of Canadian Parliament.
Thank you. Next question, please. Dan 𝗼𝗍 wants to know, thank you once again, Dan. Khalistanis run a lot of Indian restaurants, grocery stores offering flavors of India. They are shameless. They become Indians for money.
So I believe there are a lot of businessmen are businessmen. They only have their business interest through their mind. A lot of these businessmen might not be politically motivated or having those interests. I firmly believe this is intimidation, political establishment, and coercing, and criminal networks which try to get money from anywhere they can get from.
This next question, I'll direct it to you, Nikunj. Do you think we'll have enough representation in the House? I think this is for Republicans by 2025 to truly secure and protect our interests. We need to create a genuinely secular party. Would that make a difference? I mean, I'm an independent, so I can't really say anything. Nikunj, I don't know if your orientation is Republican or not. Maybe
no,
I
don't need to say any of that stuff. What's really interesting here is this idea of secular party. America is a secular country in general. So no, there is no Christian party in whether you're talking about Republicans or Democrats. That's not going to be a Christian party. What is important and the representation that this person is asking about, which kind of representation? Is it Hindu representation? The answer is no. No matter which party it is, we don't have enough Hindu representation. What we need is as follows. We need to have greater increased political power, which means through the political action committees, the PACs, through dialogues with lawmakers, continuous conversations, dialogues, through greater advocacy, through showing up and asking, not taking a selfie and saying, oh yeah, thank you very much for visiting our temple. Now let me take a selfie and I'm going to post it on Instagram or Facebook or WhatsApp saying how great I am that this minister came to me, or this congressman came to my temple and this, or my house, and I did a little event with the person. What are you asking? The first thing that other communities do when they show up is ask. They are very clear saying, this is the problem we have. This is what we need your help in. And this is what we can do for you in terms of money, resources, influence, and votes. We don't do any of that stuff. Now we're starting to do that in the US and again in the Canadian system as well. But that's where we will make a difference. So tomorrow, whether Republicans come or Democrats come, Hindus have equal say or say in different parties. The Muslim community does this. The Jewish community does this. The Armenian community does this. The Vietnamese community does this. The Chinese community does it. I can go on and on. Pakistani community does this. You name it. Every community has lobbying, has advocacy organizations, has even mosques and synagogues who are very clear on who they want to invite to their particular places of worship. Hindus, on the other hand, are like basically 3-year-olds going up against PhDs. This is the status of Hindus in USA and pretty much similar in America, in Canada. Okay, we need to graduate from the 3rd grade up until at least to get to bachelor's. Forget about master's and PhD. We're not even there yet. So that's what we need to have. Forget about a party. We need to be in both parties, and whatever your political leanings are, whether you're Democrat, Republican, pro-gun, pro-reproductive rights, whatever you are, it doesn't matter. What needs to happen is we need to be very clear on Hindu interests, okay? Whether it's Hindu phobia, whether it's protection of temples, whether it's merit-based education, all those Hindu issues are very, very important for any party, whether you are at the local level, at the board level, like very, very town level, or at the federal level.
Thank you so much, Nikunj. Last question, please. Dan Dave, thank you once again. Let's be real. Khalistanis don't target whites, West. They target other Indians. So West does not care, just like we don't care about Proud Boys. I don't know what Proud Boys is. Do you have any idea, Priyanka?
Yes.
Proud Boys. But I get what Dan is saying. Dan, thank you so much. I think this is part of their nexus. This is part of their strategy. This is part of their disinformation and misinformation campaigns, which leads to so much anti-India sort of misinformation, disinformation out there, which, people in the US who have never been to India, Americans who have never been to India, who are not of Hindu origin or of Indian origin, they believe it and they eat it up and they buy it and they say, I've had several people say to my face, India is a piece of shit, just because of what they read on the BBC or NPR. It makes you, it really makes your blood boil, because every video I do has my passion in it, has my sort of, want to tackle this misinformation, but I'm not enough. I'm just one person. Sree is not enough. He's just one person. Nikunj is not enough. He's just one person. Rishabh is not enough. He's just one person. I think the other way to tackle this, adding on to Nikunj's answer, is also to make sure, when we're graduating to at least a bachelor's degree rather than the 3rd grade, is make sure that youth also get involved. Youth need to be able to have a voice and speak up. Youth need to know and be trained to not be afraid of being ostracized. What if this happens and my classmates hate me? That's why they don't speak up. What if this happens and my professors hate me? That's why they don't speak up. What if my professor has called India a piece of crap? Which happens in so many universities, right? We all know the works of Audrey Trushka, right? Imagine if you were in her class and you were dependent on her grade. What are you going to do? Are you going to speak up, or are you going to take the grade and then say, let me see what I can do after? I can guarantee you most students keep quiet in her class just to get the A, or they just don't take the class. this is what happens to our students. We need to find a way to empower them to speak up, to empower them to, of course, there are many students who do this. There's a lot of groups that do this, but we need more. And I know Kona is working very hard. I know Hindu American organization or Hindu American Foundation also works hard, but that's just 2 organizations, right? We need a mass effort of making sure our youth also graduate with us from the 3rd grade to getting a bachelor's, a master's, and then a PhD.
Thank you so much, Priyanka. I read somewhere, I don't know if this is true or not, I read somewhere that Harvard actually closed down for 2 days to absorb the Trump shock. I'm shocked that this premier institution would shut down for 2 days just to absorb the shock of a Trump victory.
I'm not surprised. When I went there, if you said, and not me personally, I know there were other people too, you couldn't even walk around saying that you supported Trump. It was that bad. You wouldn't even be able to get a coffee at Harvard Square. It's that bad. And I guess now it's worse because they just shut the whole thing down. So I am not at all surprised that happened, but look at what's happening as a result, right? It may still ranking wise be the #1 school because that takes time to attain, but a lot of people are getting turned off from Harvard. A lot of Indian applicants that are applying, they're no longer looking at Harvard. And legacy of Harvard has gone down. The reputation of Harvard has gone down. You can't do this shit and get away with it. People are seeing through it. People are falling through the cracks. Maybe they've even canceled classes. Who knows, Sreeji? I wouldn't be surprised if all the classes got canceled and they all sat in a circle of solidarity.
Thank you so much, Priyanka. I think we can, Harvard professors cancel classes to let students recover from election day. Reports.
Yeah,
Yes.
but if Harris won, of course, there wouldn't be anything like this for those that supported Trump.
I should end it with this thought. When I was studying in India, my professor who had studied in United States, on the day Kennedy was assassinated, he was having exams. And he said the proctor came and conducted the exams. It was just another day. Life went on. This was in Santa Clara, the city of Santa Clara in San Jose, in California. This is a big deal. Kennedy was an extremely popular president at that point of time. That life goes on in US, and this is very surprising that Harvard canceled classes for 2 days. The students should be demanding, we want to get back to classes because you're paying top dollar for what you're getting. So thank you so much, gentlemen, and thank you so much, Priyanka. Viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And thanks to all of you for staying this late up at night. All 3 of you are late in the night. I'm at a comfortable time still, but my hypocrisy, I couldn't do it sooner than this. So thank you all once again. And viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.
Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.